Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the I Like Birds podcast. I'm so excited that you decided to join us today. I'm sitting across from a great man of God that is a fisherman, he owns his own business, and he's just somebody that I've really taken a liking to over at my church, Calvary Church in Burleson, Texas. And his name is Corey Clayton. Corey, say hello to the people.
Hey guys, welcome. Thanks for having me here today. I can't wait to talk, share my testimony, and maybe make some people laugh.
Hey, there we go. Yeah, I love humor. We on the show we have a theme. It's called Jesus Jokes and a Little Bit of Country. All right, so
I like it.
We talk about Jesus, we make jokes, and we talk about sometimes what's going on in the world and try to give a biblical perspective and just talking life, you know. So, and that's why I really wanted to have you on this show, because I felt like you spoke so much life and so much truth and so much the heart of God when I heard your story at Man's Night. I think it was about a year and some change ago now, and I was like, man, one day I'm gonna get him on the podcast when the situation and the time is right. And I felt God put you on my heart to reach out, and then here we are.
Man, I love the opportunity. Anytime to share my story, because I know there's people struggling with the same things that I struggled with. So anytime I can share the story of how good God was to me and my family, I want to do it.
Let's go.
Let's go.
Well, let's just get into it, man. Let's just talk about your story and what God did for you and where you went from when you went before you were saved and redeemed by Christ, and the man you were then to where God brought you to making sure that you knew that He was the one and the Lord and Savior in your life, and just the impact that other people had on your faith journey. Go ahead and share with people what that was like for you during the depths.
Yeah, and I wanted to say, the funniest thing is, before I knew Christ had a grip on my life, He did. So growing up, we didn't go to church. We were Christmas, Easter, maybe we were in church. Other than that, we fished. My dad wasn't big in church, but boy, he loved the boat and had us with him all the time. He wasn't a dad that wanted to take his buddies fishing. He took us. But long story short, we weren't church attenders. I think we knew who God was, and in a broad spectrum, we knew what we needed to do, but we never had guidance like you or Tommy or anybody like that. So I strayed after high school and started dabbling in soft drugs, and I'm going to speed this story up, but it elevated over about 3 years to me getting to a state where I have no relationship with any of my family anymore. And when we are a close family, but I had no relationship and started doing hard drugs, became homeless. Just to state the facts, I was doing over 3.5 grams of methamphetamine a day. Didn't have a place to live. Life had totally fallen apart, literally in front of me. I didn't want to be here anymore. And I'm not kidding here. I wasn't trying to get out of that lifestyle. I didn't want out of the lifestyle. Even though it was a horrible lifestyle, that's what I had come accustomed to. And I woke up one morning and I had this urge to not grab the pipe and to call my mom. I hadn't talked to my mom in probably a year. And I hadn't even prayed to God. Probably 911, like, there was times, God help me, God help me. I don't know what I'm doing here, God help me. But I had never sat down and thought, let me have a relationship with Him. Let me get this ironed out. Well, I wake up that morning and this voice is screaming at me, call your mom, call your mom. So I just picked the phone up and call her. She's like, hey, what's going on? And first words out of my mouth, I want to move back home.
What age was this?
21.
Okay.
22 maybe, 21, 22. I got sober August 20th of 2003. I was 23 years old. So she said, I just came clean with her. I said, I know y'all know what all's going on, but here's the deal, and I need out. My friends are all on the same track as me. They're going to prison, getting shot. I want out. She says, you got to call your dad. So I call my dad, and he says, you come back home right now, throw your phone away, ditch all your friends, and we'll get you straight. Get to the house, move the clothes and trash bags of stuff that I had in there. He says, you can go to sleep for a week. I'm not sending you to rehab. Great. I go to sleep for a week, literally. Mayo woke up 4 hours in that whole week. He knocks on my door a week later, and he's got a Kohl's bag, throws me the bag and says, hey, you need to be at my insurance agency tomorrow morning, 8:30. You're coming to work. My dad owned an Allstate agency. He was successful, and I never wanted to have anything to do with insurance. So God's working in me, and I'm not even connected with Him. I don't even know we have a relationship at this point. God's just working with me. I take my dad's offer. I go making like $9 an hour. Learning the insurance business. I don't know anything about insurance. I'd never listened to one thing my dad said about insurance. So, but Where I'm at right now, it's take this or go back. So my dad had a lake. I threw the phone in the lake, got rid of all contacts. This was before they were saved on the cloud and everything. I mean, they were gone. Go to work. And literally 3 months later, I meet my wife.
Whoa.
So knew right away when I met her, I knew, again, it wasn't me saying, oh, this woman's beautiful. She's perfect for me. It was just something inside me saying, hey, this girl's for you. Again, I don't have a relationship with him. It's going to get wilder. We date for 3 months. I ask her to marry me. I'm living with my parents. I don't have a car. I got nothing. This woman took.
You proposed with socks or what?
I proposed with about $100 ring from Target, I think. Okay,
My man.
Come on.
At least you didn't go to Walmart. There you go. You didn't go to Walmart.
So I rolled the dice and proposed to her. I have nothing to offer this woman. Literally nothing. She says yes. And we're married a year later. I'm rocking and rolling. Not making a lot of money, but I've got a year under my belt and life straightened out. Still don't have a relationship with God. He has one with me, obviously, but I don't have one with him. It's a one-way street at this point, and that's how much he cares. Sometimes you're not searching him out. That 911 prayer, he hears it, and then over 12, 14 months of my life, he just starts putting puzzle pieces together. So skip forward. My dad becomes a pain pill addict. He has back surgery in 2005. He becomes a pain pill addict. Fentanyl patches, heating them up with a blow dry. I'm talking about he becomes worse than what I was.
Oh my goodness.
So troubled waters. I really start leaning on my wife. We get married, get our own place. We're living in a mobile home that my grandma had sold us for pennies on the dollar, scraping by. We have Jordan, our first kid. We have one car at this point. We're just flat busted broke. I'm working at another insurance agency because my dad sold that one and squandered the money through his addiction.
Wow.
In 18 months. Gone. Poof. Everything you worked for, gone. That's how fast it can happen. So we have Jordan. We're struggling to make it. I mean, it's a grind. I'm sure everybody that's watching or anything has been in this situation, like waking up in the morning, I need to buy formula and I need to buy diapers. How am I going to do it? That's the situation we were in. And then she comes to me and says, hey, we're having number 2. And Zach, I got to be honest with you. I'm struggling to afford I'm not affording number 1, yeah. Right? And now she says we're having number 2. I'm elated. It's a child that I'm about to have, but my thought is I'm in a job where I know this is about all I'm going to make. My ceiling is set, but I worked hard. For this agency, I worked super hard for pennies it's just making no money. But I was selling a ton of business for the guy that owned the agency. And sitting in there one day, and this gentleman walks in, and we couldn't be more polar opposites. I'm talking about this guy. I'm 32 at this point. He's 55. He's from the Midwest. He moved down here, and he comes in to transfer his business from State Farm to State Farm. If you're out of state, you just come in as a local agent when you move, real quick transfer. He starts talking to me, and we liked baseball. We were both baseball fans. He's a Tiger fan, Ranger fan. So we were just, banter. So over time, he would start coming in when he didn't even need anything. And I don't know who this guy is at all. Zero. I know his name, know where he lives because of his address, but I don't know anything about him. I don't go searching people. I'm not that type of guy. So we're a year into our relationship, coming by, talk baseball, this and that. And he keeps on telling me, he says, hey, why do you not have your own business? Like, you're killing it here for this guy, and he's making tons of money off you. What are you doing? And I said, man, I told him so many times, I like getting checks. I don't want to worry about writing them. Now, mind you, I can't afford the second kid that's here now.
Right.
So you telling me I need to go start a business when I can't even support my own family hardly. So we're a one-car family, and it is a yellow 2003 Volkswagen Bug, stick shift.
Jeez, that sounds like the worst car possible for a family.
For a man that's 275,
yeah, dude,
it ain't pretty. Okay,
you deserve it to be punched.
But for our family, we're gonna do what we have to do, and
Absolutely.
It meant me driving that yellow Bug to State Farm during the day, and my wife when I'd come home, she'd get in it and go work the hospital all night. We couldn't afford a daycare. That's how we worked it out. One day Joe comes by and he goes, hey, you want to go to the Ranger game? I'm poor. I'm like, oh man, where are we going to sit? Like, I can probably only afford the $4 cheap seats. And he's like, no, I got it. So we go, and well, it's VIP. I mean, we're behind home plate. Joe. We're behind home plate. We got servers bringing our food to us. This is out of my realm of possibilities. Mm-hmm. So we leave that day, and on the way home, I said, man, if you don't mind me asking, because he doesn't work. He doesn't have a job that he goes to. I said, if you don't mind me asking, what do you do? And he said, I'm a venture capitalist. So I loan money to people that need it, and then I get a piece of their business or interest. That's how I make my money.
Wow.
Still doesn't tell me how he got the money. One car family, I'm going to go back to that. A guy comes in to trade the Dodge truck in that he's going to get a new one. And I see they're only going to give him $7,000 for this truck. And I said, hey, bud, I need another car. If I gave you the $7,000, and I'm just dreaming right now. I said, if I gave you the $7,000, would you sell it to me instead of selling it to the dealership? And he said, if you have the money by 5 today, yes. Well, how am I going to do that? So I go to my boss. I know he's loaded. Mm-hmm. I ain't got no money for you, Corey. Okay. Jeez. Get home, tell my wife about the whole story, and just bummed out. She said, why don't you call Joe? I said, babe, I'm not. That ain't me. She said, you need to call Joe. She said, I just have a feeling that you need to call Joe. So call Joe. He says, I'll tell him what I need. So I'll pay back however I can, whatever you need. So he says, meet me at the office parking lot. This is on a Friday, about 5:30. Called Jason Kirk with the truck and said, give me just a little bit of time. Buy me a little bit of time. So I meet Joe up there, and he's got a check for $7,000. And he starts to hand it to me. And I go to grab it, and he pulls it back. And I said, what's going on? And he goes, well, I'm going to give you this check, but we're going to go into business together. And I said, oh, no, I'm out. He said, all right, then I ain't giving you the check. You keep driving one car. Whoo. Now I got a decision to make. I got to have the truck, Zach. Yeah. I got to have it. Kids starting soccer, the oldest, it's not going to work. So I said, give me the check. What are we going to do? And he said, meet me at my house Monday. Call in sick. Meet me at my house Monday, and we'll get everything set up. Well, no, I'll tell you what. In one of my apprehensions, he goes, how much do you make a year right now? And I'm not going to get into dollar figures, but it was a little bitty amount. And in my head, I'm thinking, I'm not going to tell him the real amount. I said, $40,000 a year. I'm thinking, man, if I can make 40, I'm balling. Straight. I'm balling. Give me the dollar gun where I can shoot them dollars out. You know what I'm saying? So he goes, I tell you what, to make you feel more comfortable, I'll go put 2 years of your salary in the operating account we set up Monday. Well, it just got real, Zach.
Yeah.
It just got real, because now I'm hearing you're going to make sure I'm paid, and all I got to do is grind. That's it.
And you're like, dang, I should have said 60.
I should have said 120. What, 60? Come on. Now I'm thinking I left so much money on the table. Golly. So long story short, we meet Monday. We form an LLC, Metroplex Insurance and Financial Group, that day. Sets up an account the next day and puts $120,000 in it.
Wow.
Go buy the stuff you need, computers, phones. We're going to run it out of your house for 12 months. Ran it out of my house for 12 months. I blew that thing up. Because it was my one opportunity. Like God said, hey, I'm going to drop this seed for you, but you better not mess it up. If you want that family to have freedom, don't mess it up. And I wasn't going to. I mean, I grinded harder than I've ever grinded in my life.
What does grinding look like in that field?
Grinding in that field is you're never off the clock.
Okay.
So customers are calling. I was working leads from investment real estate property guys. I was insuring flip houses. That was my main gig at first. I had met some guys at New Western Acquisitions, and they're key to how I built my business. I want to give them guys a shout out. Those guys are calling at 10 at night, 12 on a Saturday, and you got to answer the phone because they're closing in 24 to 48 hours. So that and just trying to establish new lead sources, and also trying to cover the accounting. When Joe invested in me, he gave me the money. And he said, I'll be here for any help you need, question-wise or anything, but I'm not going to get involved in your business. It's your business. I'm going to own a percentage of it, but it's your business. So we rock and roll. We buy an agency in Dallas. A year later, we negotiated paying 65 cents on the dollar for all his commissions, which is, I mean, most times it's 2 or 3 times, and we got it at 0.65. It was just a miraculous deal. Bought that, and then just steamrolled from there. 2 years later, we gambled and opened Burleson. Blew it up. I got a lot of stories about how God worked in that, but I don't think I have time to get into them. COVID hits. We're killing it. This dude never asked me for $1.
Really?
He had been a part owner for 6 years at this point, and has never asked me for $1. And we had times where we got lean, you know. I mean, you just building a business, you're gonna have some lean times. And he never called me and said, "Hey, I'm worried about this," or "What's going on?" He just had faith in me, the way I was putting faith in Jesus. So my daughter's going to the academy. We've opened Burleson. We're rocking and rolling. We don't know a lot of people over here yet, though. So my daughter's going to the academy at Nola Dunn. And I'm walking in, and this is how God got me. He knew the whole time, right? The whole time. He knew this plan. I have no doubt. So I took my kids to school every day and picked them up every day. That was just what in elementary school, I walked them in, right? So it's what I like to do. Every day, this fine dressed short man would be walking out of the school. And I don't know him from Adam, but he's like, every day, "What's up, man? What's up? How you doing?" So after about a month of this, I stopped and talked to him. "Hey, I'm Tommy Brandon, pastor." And I said, that was what was up. That was what was up.
He was fishing, bro.
He was fishing for me. I done got caught. The man that knows how to catch them done got caught. So he goes, "Man, are you in a church?" I said, "No, we're not." And I'm still don't have a great relationship. I know what's figuring my life out, but I'm not, I guess, coming to terms with it. He goes, "Man, why don't you come to church Sunday and you'll be my special guest?" I said, "Yeah, we'll be there." He said, "Go tell your wife." And I said, "Yeah, we'll be there." I don't go tell my wife because I want to go to the lake Sunday. If I tell my wife I've met this awesome preacher, we got to go to church. And I ain't going to be going to the lake, okay? So a month later, my wife had taken the kids to school one day. And she comes home that evening. She said, "Hey, I got a question for you." I said, "What's that?" I'm thinking, "Ooh, something ain't right." She says, "Do you know a man named Tommy Brandon?" I already know he done fished her up. He done thrown that cast net out and got her tangled up in it. I said, "I do know him loosely." She said, "Has he been inviting you to church?" I don't recall. Has he? No, I'm not sure. Did he say that? Yeah, he said 4 weeks in a row he's invited you, and you told him we were going to be there every week. And guess where we weren't? We weren't at church, but I was at the lake. We go for the first time, and I'm sure as you had your first experience at Calvary, woo! Mm-hmm. I was like, first we walk in, and Denora's singing.
That's a treat.
And I looked over at my wife, and I said, "Who is that?" We don't know anybody. And then Stacy starts singing. And I'm like, "Man, get out of here.
They live locally?
What are we doing here?" I mean, I'm into it. First service, my hands are in the air. Come on, let's go. And I done caught it. And then Tommy gets up and just, boom, fluid, spitting, and keeping me intrigued. I'd been to church before. When the singing was over, man, I'm half asleep. Mm-hmm. I tried to do half asleep with him, but he just got the hooks in me. So I guess what I'm getting at is I went off the rails there to tell that quick synopsis of that story. But a lot of times people are going through things, and if they just let him, even if you don't totally know he's the reason everything's happened, if you just put the faith in him, he's going to find a way to show you the whole plan. Mm-hmm. And I firmly believe he knew my kids were going to go to academy, and I was going to run into Tommy. He wasn't trying to get me into a church early on. He knew none of those were going to be the right churches. He knew I needed Tommy and I needed Calvary, and he put it together. There's no other way a guy that barely graduated high school. I barely graduated high school. My teachers told me I was not going to graduate. I haven't stepped foot on a college campus in my entire life, not for a party, not for a class. I've never stepped foot on a college campus. For me to be where I'm at in my life, there can only be one explanation, correct? Him.
Absolutely.
All right, Zach, I didn't mean to take over your show.
That was beautiful, bro. I was intrigued. You told that story very well. And I think there's definitely a lot of layers to that for sure.
Yeah.
Especially, man, just going back to, because I feel like there is some people that, in this country specifically, there's so many people that are struggling with drug use. And it's just been pushed, you even mentioned fentanyl, your father getting involved in that. We've seen the fentanyl crisis of like over 100 million people or 100,000 died last year just from that. Yep. And it's just interesting. I do want to kind of pick your brain about that and see, like, during that time, do you feel like you were kind of searching for God in a way by, going into the substances to feel an escape, to maybe fill an empty void that you had within yourself?
That's deep. I think possibly. But I also think just subconsciously, I had always wanted to go to heaven, right? And I'd always believed in God. And I think he saw the seed in me. I mean, I think it's more him, we're trying to get back to me, but I really think it was him. I'm not saying I'm a great guy, but I do try to do good things. And I think he knew if I give this guy a little bit and let him steward over it, maybe he'll do good with it. I think it's a lot less about me.
Yeah.
I think a lot of my buddies I hung with, they were total degenerates. And if they would have got money, they would have never done good with it.
Right.
And I think he knew in my heart, he knows our hearts, he knows everything. And I think in my heart, he knew, hey, if I just give this guy a chance, if I get him out of the situation he's in, and I line Joe up with him in this year, and I line Tommy up with him in this year, he's going to be a rock star.
Yeah.
So it's not about me. Maybe I was trying to find him, but I really think he took the same chance in me that Joe did.
Yeah. That's beautiful. And it reminds me of that verse that you said, that you just speaking of, like, where he'll let you steward over it, where he talks about, like, if you can't handle what he gives you as a little bit, he will never give you a lot, essentially. Yep. Like, yep. Saying that, like, yo, you gotta take the opportunities that God gives you and run with it. And when you came to Calvary, was there a moment of, like, Jesus is like the missing piece, or Jesus is like the credit? It took a minute.
Took a minute.
How did that play out?
Still mentally, even once I fell in love with the church and we were going every Sunday, the flesh still wanted to say, I did all this.
Yeah, talk about that.
I mean, pride is, I'm prideful. I want to be proud of everything I've accomplished. And I think at first it was not wanting to release what I had done. Even though I knew it wasn't me, I wanted to be responsible for all the actions and good things, decisions, and changes that I'd made in my life. So it took me a minute, I'd say a good year, before I said, okay, this is the deal. It ain't me. I had nothing to do with this. I made a few good decisions when he gave me choices, but he gave me the choices. So I'd say about a year in, I was feeling very spiritual, starting to read the Bible, doing the read the Bible in 1 year, the daily plan. And my daughter and my wife decided to get baptized one day.
Hey, praise God.
Loved it.
Yeah.
And I wasn't ready. Yeah, I wouldn't say I wasn't ready. It just wasn't the time for me. Well, when they're back there about to get baptized, I'm not hearing a voice. I've never heard the voice people say, God spoke to me, and I never heard it. I just got a feeling of, it's your time. Like, what are you doing?
Come on.
Your wife and daughter are back there, and you're in the pew. Come on. So I went back there that day, and I gave it all up. Ooh. Tommy ducked me underwater, and from that day forward, I strayed just a little bit. Pre-COVID, we would, just miss days. And the funny thing is Tommy had been coming to me saying you need a job at the church. You know, you need a reason to be here. And he wanted me to be a greeter. And I told him, Tommy, I do not want to be a greeter. First of all, I don't own anything but a T-shirt. Shorts and a T-shirt. That's why I giggled when you sent me that email, right? And I texted my wife. I said, hey, he said, you know, going to be a bunch of people watching dress accordingly. And she said, so you're going to wear the blue T-shirt and the gray shorts? Yeah. I said, yeah.
But you see what I said, though? Yeah. I specifically said, be you. Yeah. You know, like.
So he comes to me one day. He goes, man, we need a greeter. Bad. And you are, you know, everybody loves you. You're personable. You shake everybody's hand. Let's do it. And I said, I mean, I got to be honest with you. I ain't feeling it. I greet people all day long. That's my job, is shaking hands and kissing babies and making people feel good. When I come to church, I don't really want to do it. I was always intrigued by the lights, the cameras. You know, I was intrigued in all that. And I love music. I love all that. So I told Tommy, I said, man, I want to do something in the booth back there with the cool kids, you know? I don't want to be out there shaking hands. And he goes, well, we do need a lyrics guy. But, man, you're way too, you don't want that. I said, Tommy, man, let me tell you, that's God saying, here is your opportunity to get what you want. And he gave it to me and was running slides every Sunday and loving it. And COVID hit. And there's another God thing, okay? I'm not scared. The whole time through COVID, I'm not going to get political, but I didn't wear a mask. I went where I wanted to go. I never stopped hugging people. And I'm not scared. And Tommy could not get people to come and run lyrics when they opened about, I mean, there was like 4 of us and we'd rotate and he couldn't get anybody. And I swear I ran lyrics for 18 months every Sunday because nobody would come in. But what that did for me, I'm not lying to you. If I didn't have that job at Calvary, when COVID hit, we would have fell off. Closed the church down for 3 months, virtual. If you let me stop doing something for 3 months,
oh, it's a habit. Yeah.
It's hard to get back into it. So the blessing there was if I would have listened to Tommy, been a greeter, I wouldn't have liked it. And we might have fallen out of church, but God said, hold on. There's a lyrics job back there. And I ended up loving it and doing good. The biggest reason I wanted the lyrics, and I'll tell you, I didn't know all the songs when I started going there. And the people that were doing the lyrics, no offense to them, but they would not put the lyrics up on the screen until the musicians had already started singing that.
Yeah, you gotta be early.
You have to be 2 to 3 seconds early, and the band didn't like it. When I started it, the singers didn't like it.
They're used to the old way.
They're used to because it's flipping on the confidence early. They have the one ahead of them, but I'm flipping it early because I want if the congregation can't sing, you're losing half the battle.
Right. You need that energy.
You need the energy. So for 3 or 4 weeks, I was just flipping them early. And Coonrod was on me. He's like, hey, you're flipping these slides too early. I said, you sit there and let me do what I do. And they started noticing the 70% of people that didn't know every word to every song were now singing every word to every song. And it's just simply because God said, hey, you got to put that up there 3 seconds earlier, 2 seconds earlier. Nobody's going to start singing if the 2 words are already out and you're into the line. You got to get it up there early. So it's just another thing. God he knows what I need.
Yeah.
And now I lean on him.
There you go.
I mean, for a long time, I didn't lean on him. And now
it's on you.
I lean on him for everything. If I'm making a decision at all, I'm asking him.
I love that. And, you know, I think from my personal experiences at church, I think I've even heard you during those last 18 months that you're in that season you were talking about, actually like showing love to like Jared and like
hyping
showing
them up.
Yeah, you're hyping people up. And I love that. And
because it was a time in the church when everybody was scared. The life had kind of tried to been sucked out of the church. And I knew for these singers, well, I know for myself, if I do something and I'm doing it good, I want to hear, yeah, you know, go Corey, let's go. You're killing it. So I would just be in the booth Jared, let's go. Jay Jones, Stacy, let's go. And it would hype people up. Yeah. I would see it in the first 3 or 4 rows in front of me. Mm-hmm. And I just said, all right, so I'm the slide guy and the hype man. It is what it is. Yep. Let's hype it up. And yeah, I always want to try to make people feel as good as they can feel. And if I'm on stage singing and there's a guy in the back hooting and hollering my name, I don't care if I'm at church or I'm at AT&T Stadium, it's going to make me feel good.
Yeah, it's going to do something for you internally.
Absolutely.
And giving them that confidence is just so helpful, especially when something like that where it's like the pressure's on and
Absolutely.
You want to make sure you're giving as much honor and glory to God as possible, but having somebody in your corner, that's so helpful. So
Absolutely.
I noticed that about you. And here's another thing I noticed about you that you might not know, but there's a Bible verse that talks about never let your left hand know what your right hand is doing when it comes to being generous and, making sure that you're sowing into others and stuff like that. And every time I've been to Man's Night, for the most part, there would be an opportunity for the men to give, and there would be a need that would come up. There would be a story that is shared. And when I remember one time they were raising the benevolence money, and this woman, her house was burning down. And it's cool because I'll share this story because, you're not going to, but I'll share it for you, and it makes it okay when I share it. The woman's house was burned down, and we were raising money for her and whatnot. And then all of a sudden, it was like we're trying to raise 500 total, and all of a sudden, you raise your hand and you do this little circle thing, and you do this little, and then Tommy goes, well, you got 100 on it? No, I got 500 on it. And you went, boom, you went straight to the need instead of going, I'll go 100, I'll go 100, I'll go 100. And that just showed how big your heart is.
Can I give a shout out to Monty Kane too? Because the minute I did the circle,
he was right next to you too.
Kane said, go on, double it up.
Yep, he doubled it up. Yeah, and that was so cool. And that it really inspired me as a business owner myself, because I recently started, in the last couple of years, I started my own writing business, and just motivated me to see your success and also see your generosity through your success. And you've done that on more than one occasion. That was just the time that I really saw it, and I was like, man, that was kind of gangster, So I really appreciated that about you. So how does your generosity kind of transpired from your success? What put that on your heart to do that? Because you came from making $9 an hour at Kohl's or at State Farm to making what you're making now and opening up different branches and all that stuff.
I can tell you this. I've always loved giving. Even when I was a kid, I liked getting presents, but I also liked putting the thought into buying somebody the right present. I've always had a giver's heart. Just never had anything to give. And I don't great, you told the story, but I don't need, I know the one that's watching, if I'm going to give something to somebody, I don't necessarily need anybody other than the person that I'm going to give it to know about it. It is cool to get a story told and know that I'm impacting somebody's life. Exactly. But in the end, I just hate seeing people struggle.
Yeah.
Because I've been there. I mean, I ain't saying I've struggled more than a lot of people, but I've had some serious struggles in my life. And if I can, I'm not fixing anybody's problems. I didn't fix anybody's problems. Me and Monty Kane we didn't fix her problems that night, but we made it just a little less stressful for her, and that's all we were trying to do. If it's a little less stressful for her, maybe she can lean on God a little more. Maybe she says, whoa, God came through and got me that X amount of money from the generosity of those men at Calvary. That's all we're trying to do. Just show people that, God's real. He's going to use the people that he can to help who he can. And I love giving.
Yeah.
It's fun.
That's beautiful.
It's real fun.
Yeah.
Joe gave to me. So if I can go back to that story real quick.
Yeah, go ahead.
COVID hit. We're rolling. And Joe calls me one day and he goes, hey, you're good, right? Yeah, I'm good. He taught me all stuff. Go back to his wife, come to find out, was the CEO of Pure One Imports at the time. She's now part owner of the vitamin shop. So money is not an issue, right? If I'd have known that, I would have said I need $250,000 a year. So he comes to me, he goes, hey, let's meet. I want to meet. You don't need me anymore. So he comes in, and I'm thinking, man, I'm fixing to get hammered having to buy this guy's shares.
Share of the company. Yeah.
So he comes in and he goes, hey, here's the deal. I got this amount of money invested in the company. And it was what he had invested. He said, I think over the 7 years I've been a part of it, I should make this amount of money. And let me tell you something. It was just pocket change. And I'm waiting for the string that's attached. Mm-hmm. And it's a healthy sum of money, but it's a small fraction of what he should have been paid if he was anybody else that owned that much of my company. So I'm thinking, all right, now I got to come up with about a lot of money, well into the six figures. How am I going to do that? And he goes, hey, but here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to finance that for you for 10 years, no interest. I said, no.
It's better than JP
Are
Morgan.
you serious? And I'm crying. I mean, I'm literally like, it's one thing when you own a company with somebody. You still have a partner. It's still not yours. You know, people are still like, oh, yeah, that's Corey's company, but it's also Joe's company. Well, I now have the opportunity to own everything 100%. And that's just God again. He could easily put a venture capitalist in my life that was a shark.
100%.
That was going to give me the money, let me build the company up, and then he was going to bend me over when it's time for me to buy it back. Or that shark's going to go shop his percentage out, and I'm going to have somebody I don't even know owning a percentage. So it just goes back to God knew who to put in my life, and it was a divine intervention when Mr. Joe came in my life. And now we're still phenomenal friends.
Oh, that's good.
Got houses all over the country that we get to go stay in, and it's fun. And again, not only that, he's a mentor, so he's not an owner in my business anymore. But anytime I'm investing in another company or I have a problem or anything, he's the first guy I call. You know, I lost my dad. Didn't lose him. He's still here. But for all intensive purposes, he is no guidance. I can't go to him for any advice. So Joe, when my dad got messed up, Joe became father figure, business mentor, the whole shebang. And it's amazing how God said, hey, buddy, here's Joe, and here's Tommy, and here's Sam. Here's these two beautiful kids. He just kept giving me. I showed him a little bit, give me something else. Show him a little bit, give me something else. Show him a little bit, give me something else. So it's been a fun ride.
Yeah, I mean, it's such a blessing of how many things have transpired in your life after those struggle years. And
those make you, though.
Yeah.
Hey, if I didn't have those years, it would be a different life right now. I firmly believe that because I know what it is like. I never am going to lose it again. Pray to God. Yeah. Never going to lose it again.
And that's the way you give too. I feel like it kind of connects with that. Cause if you give thinking like there's, like it's a scarcity or like money's a finite resource, then you're not going to be able to, give, like be a cheerful giver because you're fearful of losing that. But you feel like more is still coming.
The biggest things in my life are still to come. I'm not even scratching the surface. And I'm not saying as a businessman, I'm just saying with the good things I have left to do, I ain't even started.
Do you have a vision of what that looks like?
I don't.
No, but
I'm not a vision guy.
Yeah.
I'm a fly by the seat of my pants. Let's jam the gears and see what happens. I mean, I've never been a planner. I've never been one to sit down and write down goals. It's just not me. I just wake up in the morning and see what I'm going to do.
I love that. So where does your success end up as far as what you spend let's just say, what do you spend your money on? Like, what is some passions that you have
man. Well, fishing, one.
There we go.
Been fishing. That's one thing my dad and I still have a bond about. He doesn't fish anymore, but he had us on the boat from 2 years old until it transferred from him not having a boat and me having a boat and then him coming out with me. Fishing's the only thing that keeps me and my dad remotely close at all. Took my dad to Squaw Creek, a lake out in down 67, And my dad's had some phenomenal fishing over his life. And we went, and I had this hole, okay? You could put the boat, you got a spot lock on the trolling motor, so you hit a button, and the wind can be blowing 30 miles an hour, and that boat don't move at all. So I had a hole where you could drop this drop shot down on a spinning rod. I'm talking about you open the bell and let the fluke go down, and before it hits the bottom, you were bit all day. And I knew this, and I didn't go there often, but I called the old man one day. I said, hey, we stomped on him today. Come in the morning. He sat in the passenger seat of my boat and caught 150 bass by noon. He strapped his rod down and he said, I'm done. And I said, well, I'm not. This lake closes at 3 and we're going to fish till 2:59. And I'm just strumming them, and we load the boat up and we're leaving. And there's some things your dad tells you throughout your life. This was the most profound thing he's ever told me. We're going home, and he goes, man, I got to tell you, I am 70 years old, and I have fished with the best and had some miraculous days. But I have never in my life dreamed of catching that many fish that fast. He said, you're the best I've ever seen. Hey. Hey. So fishing's, I like cars. I like boats. I don't like a lot of cars. I had a dream of having a Corvette my whole life. That was a dream. You know, I say I don't set goals and dreams, but that was a dream. And when I started making a little change, I was like, man, I still love Corvettes, but I like the mid-engine cars. You know, I like that mid-engine. And I can't lie to you. I'm leaning on an Audi R8, a used one, because I can't afford a new one. So I'm looking at that, and 2 weeks later, Chevy announces mid-engine Corvette. I'm like, oh. So you mean I don't have to spend $200,000? I can spend $70,000 and get everything I've dreamed of, a Corvette with the motor in the back. So I got that. We just spend a lot on our kids, and we give. We still live in a little house. We still own the same house that we bought in 2013. We're not trying to be in a mansion with 3,000 square foot that we don't use. We got a nice backyard with a real nice pool. And we live a pretty simple life.
That's good.
We don't eat expensive restaurants. We cook meals at home.
So it sounds like you steward the success well. And you don't.
I'm not going to say I'm perfect.
Yeah. I've
done some dumb things with some money, you know. Early on, for sure, more than now. I'd say 3 years ago, I went into a mode of trying to stack cash. And just we eliminated 90% of our debt in 12 months, all of our revolving debt, 90% of it in 12 months. It was just something that I wanted to do. And then the crazy thing is, when we relieved all that debt, the money it was just crazy how much money we were wasting service and interest on credit cards. Yeah. And we just diligently made the changes. So we're pretty frugal people. I don't own a suit. I got one pair of jeans. I got one button down shirt and 2 pair of R. Watson boots. Other than that, it's dude shoes and t-shirts.
Do you feel like dude shoes and t-shirts kind of connects you with your clients and the people that you serve at your business?
You know, I'm not day to day in there as much anymore. I do handle the finances and the marketing. I don't know that my clients would necessarily appreciate it as much as my network. At this point, my network knows that if Corey's coming somewhere, barring a funeral, he's going to be in shorts and a t-shirt. I think honestly, so I'm successful. But if I'm sitting down at lunch with a guy in a 3-piece suit, I ain't comfortable. I'm not. I'm just not. Yeah. It's not my gig. And I think I'm more approachable and easier to talk to because I'm regular Joe. I'm no different than anybody else. I may own a business, but I don't want anybody to say, oh, look at Corey's got $1,000 suit all the time, you know, Rolex. I don't want to be I want to be thought of as just a regular guy that you can come and talk to, and we can joke around and have fun, and that's just my whole persona. I want to be approachable. I don't want to be putting anybody off.
Yeah, absolutely. And let's go back to the fishing thing real quick, because we obviously I named this one Fishermen of Men, and I wear this stupid beach Margaritaville shirt.
I like
in
it.
Spirit.
I honestly thought we were going to Hawaii. I thought I had been on like a surprise giveaway or something. When I pulled up, I saw you in the shirt, and I called my wife real quick. I said, hey, I may be gone for a few days because I'm pretty sure he's surprising me with a trip to Hawaii.
We're going to do the podcast on a private jet.
Hey,
you never.
it is
God,
what it is.
It's just God.
God's good.
God is good. But yeah, we got the little graphic here with the little boat and stuff like that. And it's funny because this is right around the season. Maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago now. I've been in the market for we got a little pond behind our house, and it's not huge, but it's big enough to like get a little john boat.
Yeah, little kayak, something like that.
Little john boat. So I've been in the market for it, just looking at Facebook Marketplace for a while, for about like 4 or 5 months, and people would list it for so high, and I'm like, I'm not spending that on that, So finally found one that was reasonably priced, that felt like it was from a good dude, Christian dude as well. Met up with him, got the john boat, brought it home, surprised my family with it. Like my wife was like, I don't think we should do that right now, and I was like, I've been kind of it's spring, I've been waiting for this, So I came home and my kids just like went bananas in excitement about it. We take it out that first day, and the joy that they had out there, I'll never forget. My little 3-year-old son, Malachi, he looks back, he's like, Daddy, this is so cool. And he was just so like, you could tell the excitement was on him. And my 10-year-old was like, Dad, this is legit. Like they were just so proud that we own this little boat now. And, it just created so many like memories from the beginning, and I can't wait to, we got little paddles and stuff, but we're gonna probably get a little trolling motor in the next few weeks or something like that.
I can help you out with that.
Oh, my man, I would appreciate that. So like, I see you also on Facebook. You post a lot of pictures of you and your youngest daughter, Reagan, right?
Ray, yeah.
Going out and
She's
fishing
a hammer.
together.
She's a hammer.
She's always holding up a bunch.
She's a hammer.
I'm like, bro, what's going on? And she's a hooper too, right?
She's a hooper. So my oldest, if I can take just a minute and brag on her, she's a scholar. I mean, she's a scholar, and she's gold. I mean, the girl is, we know the oldest is going to have a comfortable life, no problems, sail through loving Christ and doing everything she can to make him happy. My youngest is a lot like me.
Yeah.
She loves to fish. She loves to have fun. She loves to cut up. She don't love school. And my wife was really struggling with it. And I told her the other day, I said, I was helping Ray with some math, and it was, if you want to call it math, I'm pretty smart with numbers, but when you throw letters into a math problem, and I got frustrated. My wife was concerned. She goes, I worry that Ray's going to make it through school. I said, let me give you some peace of mind. I said, she is me. That was me in middle school. What they're teaching her right now, she's never going to use. If the girl can make people like her and hold on to her money, she's going to be a millionaire.
Ooh,
straight up.
Yep.
The oldest will be calling the youngest if she ever needs money. I guarantee it. I'll bet a month's salary on it. Because that's how the youngest is just, you can always see a fire in somebody. Whether it's on the basketball court, she wants to, I was going to use the word kill you, but she wants to make you look foolish. Fishing, she don't stop. I mean, from 6 in the morning, 110-degree day, 5 in the afternoon, we're leaving the lake. And I'll go back to that and what you talked about. My dad would never leave the lake. When we went, we were there drinking lake water out of the thermos. I mean, it was hardcore. And I always told myself, man, I'm going to take my kids out, and the minute they say I'm ready to go, we're out. Yeah. Whether I'm mauling on them or whatever the case is, we're leaving. And I always stuck by that, and it has always had my kids wanting to come back because they knew, hey, if I'm bored or it's hot or I'm ready to go, we're going. But Ray's a gem. She plays poker. So that's another thing I love. I love poker.
Hold'em.
Yeah, started out playing Hold'em. Now like mixed games, Congress, 4-card Omaha, PLO. I like the where you have to think more, and 2-card Hold'em's pretty elementary. Yeah. It is what it is. Pretty easy to get the reads and figure it out. So I like the 4 and 5-card variations just because you have, with the other 8 guys at the table, they have to probably be smarter than you and a quick thinker to beat you. So I have losing nights, but I love poker. So my youngest went and played a tournament. My buddy owned the poker house, and they had a little sit and go one afternoon. 8 people, $20. Come in, bust out, you're gone. Well, my kid's one of them. She busts me out like third hand. She's 11. I'm mad. Like pocket kings or something. And she calling me with 8-6 offsuit, something she shouldn't even have been in there with, and knocks me out, just steadily dominoes everybody there and makes $220 that night. And she's playing guys that are good poker players. One of them's a dealer. I mean, so it just goes to say that if you poker's probably not the best thing to
promote
for your 11-year-old, but we sit around the house.
Yeah,
I'll say a lot of families don't. We do game nights, we eat around the table, but me and Ray Ray will sit around the house, and even if it isn't poker, we have some. We have probably 20 card games that we play. We play cards all the time. Sometimes we'll mix in poker, sometimes it's trash, Uno, battle, whatever it is. But she finds enjoyment with me playing cards. So it's just finding the little things. God said, hey,
yeah,
Ray Ray likes cards, basketball, and fishing. Why don't you let her flourish?
Yeah, I love that. And like that connects you so much with her, and she's going to remember those.
Have you seen pictures of that kid worship?
No, I haven't.
Oh, ask Turner to send you some pictures of that kid worshiping.
Yeah.
Front stage, hands in the air. I mean, she's all about it, man. She's all about it. She's a warrior for Christ.
Yeah.
Straight up. She wants to populate heaven and bankrupt hell, cuz.
Let's go. I love that.
It's good to know I got a warrior coming, You got to have them.
Yeah, Kingdom kids is what I call them.
Kingdom kids, because, the state of all this that we're going through is just an attack on Christianity.
Always.
Less people in the church. Let's make people think the church is dumb, and then we can get them to do what they want. If everybody just goes by the plan that he laid out, we're good.
Yeah, we're
we don't even need the government.
Right. Yeah.
Come on.
And the fact that America was built on such Christian values, and the freedoms that we have here are based on Christianity freedom.
Absolutely.
It's like we really lose sight of that because we're so used to it. And it's like I went to Africa, and it's like you can totally see the difference of the way of life there because of the way Christianity wasn't built into their infrastructure of government.
Absolutely. That's why we're over there trying to spread the word.
Yep, exactly.
That's the reason for the mission trips. That's the reason for all that is if we don't spread it and grow the kingdom, we have problems for our grandkids.
Yep, and this is called Fishermen of Men. So how would you correlate, or how would you relate your fishing experience with going out there and winning souls for Christ?
Well, it just inevitably when you're on the water and you're seeing the sunrise, you just inevitably feel a deep connection. When you start looking around, there's only one thing that could have created the beauty that we see, and everybody that's with me. I'll say this, Zach, I'm not pushy with my Christianity. Get me on a podcast and want me to talk about it, I'm not going to talk about it. And everybody knows that I'm faithful and what I'm about, but I'm not going to be that guy that's beating somebody down. I'll slowly try to drag them into the church, but I'm not going to just browbeat somebody. I'm not always talking about it. But it does come up on the boat inevitably. And I think it just gives a good platform for me to share my story. A lot of my story, we have 60, 75 minutes here. Well, I have 9 hours with guys on the boat, 10 hours. I can really tell a story in 10 hours. And if I had heard my story in the 9-hour boat session at 18 or 19, I may not have ventured down the path that I did. I never heard that story. So I just try to tell my story because my dad got addicted in his 60s. So if I have a guy in my boat that's 40s that's never had an addiction problem or anything, he still needs to know, hey, you go get that back surgery and that doctor prescribes you pain pills. You don't need them.
Yeah.
You don't have to have them. Pain is natural. Pain is good. Pain is weakness leaving the body, cuz. Come on. So if I got a guy in my boat, I'm just always trying to let him know where I came from. how you get there, and then the biggest part is how you get out. Because we can all get ourselves into messes, but I don't think anybody can get it out on their own.
I love that you said that about having real time with a man on a boat, because my best friend, one of my best friends, Jeff DeWeird, he's in Michigan, and he recently took a job, and he's former military, jumped out of planes, paratrooper, retired, doesn't need a job, but chose to get a job as a golf instructor because he's great at golf. So he wants to go out there and be with a man on the golf course for 4 hours. And that's his vision. He's very philosophy minded too. So his very mission is to, pour into others and, share the news about God and what God's done in his life with a man out there for 4 hours. So he loves that one-on-one in-person connection.
And I also think if I'm talking to somebody at lunch, they got their phone, they got eavesdropping on the conversation over here. I'm getting, the waitress, I need another drink. Can I get some more hot sauce? There's no fault to the person at lunch with me. There's just too many distractions.
That's right.
I get into a story, the waitress comes, I forget, it's just too many distractions. When I get on that boat, there's no distractions. And when I start telling a story, it's usually so captivating that the other person just shuts up and listens. And that's all I want. I want time to try to keep other people from making the same mistake that I made. That's it.
Have you experienced the fruit of that with a man before on the boat?
Well, I've never worked with somebody that's been actively addicted, so it's hard to measure. Did I keep somebody from? Yeah. Most all of my friends now are clean.
Well, not just addiction, but more so like revealing truth about the goodness of God out there.
Oh yeah, it's hard to when I'm talking about it. It's hard for somebody to argue.
Right.
When I tell you the stories that I've told you, it's going to be hard for you, Zach, to sit here and say, God didn't do all that.
I know.
Well, then who did? Look who you're talking to. It sure wasn't me. I'm not an MBA degree. I'm just Corey. And without him, there's no me. So that's all I'm trying to, a lot of my friends believe, like my buddy that passed away, but didn't go to church, and I don't have any qualms about somebody that doesn't go to church. It is what it is. I want them to believe and everything, but if my main goal is to get people to Calvary. I think we've maybe, got a handful of families that started coming because of us, but that's what tries to go down in the boat. Tell my story, give people an insight of the way that I saw, and I think just trying to let people know that he is the answer, no matter what. Well, I still have struggles daily. I may have a little bit of money and a little bit of comfort, but I still lean on him daily for all kinds of stuff. I don't care how much money or how much fame anybody has. They still deal with the same amount of troubles and stress as I did in 2002, homeless. You know what I'm saying? I mean, and all they got to do is lean on the Lord.
Yeah. Amen. I love that. And it really reminds me of just how good God is and how gracious he is to be able to intervene on any situation. You could be at a pit and feel like I'm addicted to this. I'm afraid to even reach out to my mother. I'm going to sleep in a room for a week and try to just get this out. And yet God's over here just still opening new doors, even through those struggles. And
while I'm doing nothing.
Right. You're just laying there.
Laying there asleep, and he's opening doors because
he's good.
Hey, and I had to ask myself, why me?
Mm-hmm.
Right? Why me? But that's a question you don't have to ask, because he'll do it for anybody.
That's right. And I think that's the power of your testimony, and that's the power of testimonies when you're on the boat. And it's just the power of why I think this show reaches so many people, is because people want to hear what God did for somebody else, because that means God will do it again. And my buddy Olivier says in the Hebrew, the word testimony means, he says it so many times and I still forget it. It's not vermouth, but it sounds like vermouth. That it means, basically, testimony means to, if you did it once, you'll do it again. So it's basically putting into the atmospheres, putting up to God, and you're giving it to God to do those things again through somebody else.
Right.
And even in Revelation, it talks about Jesus is the spirit of prophecy. So therefore, Jesus is going to keep doing these amazing things in people's lives, and he uses us as vessels to preach his name and his goodness and whatnot. Because the Bible's, it's complete now. It's fulfilled. So
on that philosophy, I have to guess there was somebody somewhere praying and working hard for me the same way we are for other people. I would have to guess, because it was a mustard seed of faith when he started giving me all this. I mean, it was the smallest seed of faith ever. I know there was so many more faithful people when he gave me all my opportunities that he could have given them to. That's the craziest part, is you don't have to be in. I don't want to say you don't have to be in church every Sunday, because I do want you as many Sundays as you can be. I want you to be there, but you don't have to be. If we had kids, if I had my kids and they hated me, or they're not hated me, but just didn't have a relationship with me, gone all the time, or on their phones or iPads, and there's no relationship, it would be harder for me to be as involved as a father as I am. It would be a lot of tension. And the craziest thing to me is I was that kid to God that had the iPad going all the time. I just didn't have a relationship with him, and he still gave me 100% of him. When I was giving him 0.25,
right,
he gave me 100, and I got to give it all back. Got to give it all back.
Is that your motivation for like your business and the way you live your life?
Yeah. I mean, my motivation is 100% my family. Why I get up and do what I do is for the wife and kids. I saw my wife. I mean, man, when we were broke, she wasn't happy. I mean, who could be happy in that situation,
Yeah.
And I never want to see her ever worry about the things that she worked. That's what drives me.
Yeah.
To A, do good by what he's given me, and B, never let my wife feel what she felt early on in our marriage. That's it. I want my kids to have college. I want them to meet a good guy. I try to set the example for my daughters. Hey, if you're going to have a guy, he's going to have to be better than me.
Yeah.
And that's, that's just, those are the motivating factors, is the family.
Do you pray for your future daughter's spouse?
She's got oldest one's got one. She had one. I ain't going to say no name, but I didn't really care for him.
Yeah.
It is what it is. He wasn't, I'm a high caliber guy, and he was a low caliber guy that wanted to lay and watch TV all the time and cuddle up with my daughter. And I never got involved. I never told her. I did. He didn't go to church. So here's what broke that first one. I'd been telling her he needs to go to church with you. You are a warrior for Christ. Your boyfriend should be in church with you at a minimum. So she tells us one Sunday, she goes, well, he goes to another church. He goes with his parents. I said, all right, cool. That's what I'm believing. She wants to go over to his house after our church on Sunday. So we drop her off before she's driving. He comes out in pajamas. It's 12:30, 1 o'clock on a Sunday. So I didn't say nothing. She come back home. I said, hey, let me ask you a question. Did he go to church today? She said, no. I said, well, I thought he went to church with his family. Well, they go every once in a while. I said, I'm not going to be mean to you or anything, but you're better than this. You are in church. She volunteers every other Sunday, and the kids. She is all about the church. So it just boggled my mind that she would allow this. So I wrote her about it, and she dumped him. I don't know what all the details were. I don't need to know. I know she made the right decision. Now she has a boy that she's talking to. It's a weird deal nowadays. They've been for when I was a kid, they would have been boyfriend and girlfriend for a month now, but they're just talking, right? Yeah. He goes to church. He's with her every Wednesday at Calvary Youth. He's there every Sunday. He's worshiping with his hands in there. Yeah. So I'm praying hard for this one. Jaden Ferguson, don't mess this up. We're men. We know he's going to have tons of opportunities to screw it up. So I just pray, don't screw it up and treat my girl the way I treat her. Mm-hmm. Don't mess around.
Yeah, I heard this powerful video about like the power of praying over your children's future spouse, that they would be, they would have fear of the Lord. They would, they would love Christ. They would, be leaders. They would be, that have good morals and like all these things that you want over there, because like there's power in the woman. I've said it before on the show, but there's power in the woman, there's power in the man too, to lead a woman into the way that their marriage is going to be. And like, are they going to be at church? Are they going to be living for God or living for self? A man has that role in a woman's life when they get married. So
the craziest thing about meeting Tommy was my kids weren't going to be church kids. They weren't in a church. They knew we believed. They heard us pray every once in a while, but but they were going to be like us, church on Christmas, Easter, and that's it. And that's one of my biggest blessings that I love so much is meeting Tommy got my kids a future with Christ. Because without Tommy, my kids would be wandering around.
They'd be in the world.
They would be in the world listening to Twitter and
TikToks
and Instagrams and shaping up what they think they should be by that model.
Which
wrong.
Really wrong. Now, like the opposite of just wrong. Like
now they're modeling themselves to be good Christian women.
Yeah, and that's why I think it's just so important that, I was talking to a small group this morning from Calvary, a couple of the older folks led by Jackie Gibbs.
Let's hold on time out. Jackie, if you are watching this, you have the best wife. I don't know why she stays with you. She's so beautiful and nice and sweet, and you just torment me, Jackie, okay? Love you. His wife's awesome, though.
I don't think I've met his wife.
Oh, she gives the best hugs.
Okay.
She gets on in there, but Jackie don't like it.
Yeah, you don't like her hugs?
You don't like her hugging me.
Oh.
Come on now. Yeah. I come in for that hug, and he said, Corey, back off. I'll get it later. You ain't going to hug her. I'll hug her. I'll show her how much the Lord loves her.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, so Jackie had a small group.
And we were talking about just like the youth, and like right now, they were really showing love about the podcast and just how it reaches people that need it to be reached right now in a way that's not so much of like, oh, we're preaching at you or brick and mortar and like all that stuff, right?
Hitting them with real life.
Yeah, hitting them with real life and just truth and good conversations, including God in it, and making sure that we're showing honor to God through the way we do this show, and we're talking about keeping Jesus at the center of it. And they were just encouraging me to keep going because it's just tapping into like right now the internet is so perverse and it's so wicked and so many ideologies are out there, and it's the moral compass is skewed left and right. But that's why I've really poured into it and really invested in this studio time, because we get the cameras and we get the footage and we can go ahead and we can broadcast that. We can put the clips up and we can, hopefully we do what we do for the one. And the one watching may be somebody that's young, that's like never heard a conversation like this, never heard a story like that, where you're not just sharing your story, but you're sharing how God moved through your story and why he is the focus of the story, of why he gets all the credit and all the glory for how you've turned out to be and who you've become, as well as the blessings in your life, from your family to your business to the love that you have for fishing. And it really reminded me of like, man, this is why we're doing what we're doing, because the gospel has to transcend. The gospel doesn't just stay in the pulpit. It has to go far out. It has to be reached out far and wide. And I love that we're able to do this show because it's going to be able to reach people like that. And your daughters seem like they're also in that path of wanting to get, be a warrior for Christ and get his name out there far and wide and worshiping big. And even in everything that you do, you can give God glory. Through basketball, you win a game. You're over here like talking about why you won the game. You're like, man, God really just gave me the next level to go from dropping 10 points to dropping 20 points. There's ways you can do that in all things in life. And that's what I always try to encourage people on this show to do, because people are watching. Like I was watching you at Man's Night multiple times. I was listening in the Sunday service and hearing you in the back. You never know what kind of impact you're going to have on people and who is watching you.
I just try to leave people feeling better than they were when I met them.
That's right.
And you're right. The one, if there's hundreds of people watching, if we can just reach one.
Yep, because that's where the fruit comes from.
Well, the one that we reach, how many are they going to reach?
Yep. It's like a godly pyramid scheme.
Domino effect. Tommy getting me.
Domino effect is way better way to put it than a pyramid scheme.
Pyramid scheme's a little sketchy. God's Ponzi scheme.
Yeah, right.
God's Madoff scheme.
Yeah.
He might be a little upset with us.
Yeah,
about
no,
that one.
I repent. I repent on that one.
Yeah, I mean, it's the one. And maybe they are addicted. Maybe they have an addiction in their future, but I just want them to know that addiction does not have a hold on you. I still fight. I'll be up front and honest with you. I've battled with nicotine. My entire, my dad smoked cigarettes in the house. I'd come from school, 10 years old, and the mini blind, the sun shining through the mini blinds, it would look like a nightclub, just a haze of cigarette smoke.
Probably smelled terrible.
Well,
you start to like it after a while.
So he would only smoke half of a Vantage 100. He didn't like the bottom half of them. Put them out. So when they started leaving me at home by myself, they'd go eat or something.
You'd fire up.
I'd fire up in the backyard, and it caused the most wicked. I think nicotine is, meth is super powerful, but you got to go look for it, right? Mm-hmm. If I wanted to go do meth again, it's gonna be a job,
some friction
to find it.
Yeah.
Nicotine, on the other hand, every time I go get me a drink or gas, it's pow right there. So for 5 years, I've quit. 2 months, start back, quit, start back. And now I got 6 weeks.
Hey, attaboy.
No cigarettes or cigars. And I'm saying this because I think maybe people might have got the idea that I had everything figured out. No, it's the hardest. I have an addictive personality, straight up. And I think that's part of God let me know, hey, you've got to have a governor on things. And the cigarettes, it's the hardest thing. I know for the rest of my life, I'm going to fight it.
Yeah.
And the funniest thing is what really got me to wanting to quit, like driven. The fish I sent you a picture of that you said, oh my gosh, that's like biggest fish I've ever seen. Well, I had my wife with me that day, and I'm smoking Black and Milds. I like cigars. Cigarettes are all right, but I like a cigar. And I find this fish. She's on a bed. That's what we do in the spring. We find the male and female mated up on the bed, 7-8 foot of water, and I get on a ladder, and you can see them down there and catch them. They're not easy, but you can do it. So I found this fish, and I already had one about 6 pounds. It was going to be her personal best around the lake, and I found this monster, and I'm fishing for her for like 30 minutes, and she is not giving me the time of day. The male's all over it. The male is the protector. So you generally got to keep the male from biting it and allow that female to get mad enough to eat it. So she is not, she's tucking in grass, and I'm frustrated. Told my wife, I said, all right, let's go get that one for you. Let's go there. And first pitch, bam, pops it. She got a 6.5 pounder. Personal best, easy, cake.
Jeez.
So I told her, I said, all right, we got 4 hours of daylight left. We're about to go sit on that other one, and we're either going to catch it or we're not. And I rolled up. She had been the most uninterested fish I'd ever seen. I rolled up, and I had a Black and Mild in my mouth, and I'm puffing on it. It's good. And I said, you know what? I'm going to try to make a deal. I ain't kidding you, Zach. I ain't kidding you. I said, you know what, God? if you let me catch this fish, I'm going to quit smoking right now. I put that cigar in my mouth, and I flipped that daggum Zoom crawl in there, and it didn't even drop 2 foot. She darted out of the grass and sucked it up. I'm like, pow, just got her. I'm on a 6-foot ladder with an 11-pound fish on this rod and reel. I'm fighting it as I get down. I get the net by myself, all this in front of my wife, net it, get it in the boat. And I'm thrilled at this fish. And then I start thinking, oh, man, what have I done? I've done, he said, all right, boy. So I failed him. I have failed him, and I've fallen back, but I knew every time I lit one, this ain't right. So I don't know if he subconsciously said, make this deal, and then it's going to help you in your battle, because you're going to have to think, man, I told God one thing, and the minute he gave me what I wanted, I went back on the deal. So I don't want people to sit here and look at me and think, oh, man, Corey's got it all figured out. I got a foul mouth. I try my hardest to clean that up. I'm just being real about my transgressions. Nobody's perfect. So if there's somebody out there thinking, man, you know, Corey gets this because he's perfect, wow.
Not the case.
Come live 48 hours with me.
Yeah.
I'm far from perfect.
We could always just interview the wife, and that's how you can really tell if somebody's perfect or not.
I tell you what, you need probably... What are we at time frame now?
Probably like an hour and 8 minutes.
Yeah, you're gonna need about 6 hours.
Yeah.
Because she gonna get in the weeds with you.
Of all your shortcomings and transgressions.
Wait, she'll boost me up, but she ain't scared to tell them what I'm all about sometimes.
Yeah, and you need that. That probably sharpens you up, and that makes you a better man.
She puts me in check.
Yeah.
You know, you got to have a good woman that'll set the limits. And I mean, she lets me do whatever I want to do. I don't want to sound like she limits me. I do anything I want to do. I do 6 fishing trips this summer to Venice, Louisiana. I'm gone 21 days out of the summer. I spent off and on 5 weeks in Athens for the spring. I mean, she just don't care. But if I'm doing something that I'm not supposed to be doing, she does care.
Yeah.
Just a good woman. If you get you a good woman, half the battle's over.
Absolutely. You made it.
You need him on the other half, but you've stepped on the escalator to get to the second story for sure. You're not on the stairs anymore.
Yeah.
Or on the escalator going down trying to walk up. That's where I was at.
Yep.
I was on the down escalator trying to walk up when I met her. And then somebody flipped that switch, that escalator started going up. I said, oh, here we go.
Yeah, the one thing I admire about women is like their intuition is just so strong, and like they're not they know like who you are like very well, and they know when you break character, and they'll call you out when you break character.
Fast.
Yeah.
Fast.
And like we need that, because like we're so loose sometimes, and we're just thinking like, you know, we love freedom, and you told me one of the reasons you started your business was because you wanted the freedom to fish when you wanted and not have to clock in and clock out. And
I wanted to, so yeah, I liked having lunch with my kids at school in elementary. They're both out of elementary school now, so the school lunches are over. But I did love a couple of days a week going and eating lunch with my kids. I like taking my kids to school. I like picking my kids up, and I like to fish. And I knew for me to be the happiest Corey that I could be, I couldn't work for anybody.
Yeah.
So when I got that opportunity, I was like, all right, this is my chance to set my family up and be semi-retired.
Yep. Do what you love.
Yeah.
That's awesome, man. Well, Corey, I can't thank you enough for coming on this show. I feel like we had an amazing conversation, great stories. And,
yeah, I don't know if we hit everything. I know you were wanting to take the lead, and I think I might have rambled on about some stuff, but I hope the viewers can find some nuggets of inspiration there if they're struggling or just needing a little help getting to church. Let's go.
Absolutely. Come on down to Calvary if you guys are interested.
Can I put a plug in real quick?
Yeah, absolutely.
I'll say this. If you come to Calvary, I've never invited somebody to Calvary that came once and didn't come back.
Wow.
They may have never came. I may have invited them and they never came.
Yeah.
If they came one time and they heard Jared, Stacy, Knox, Denora, I know I'm leaving some names out. They're all stellar, but you hear that And then the man, the myth, the legend gets up there and just captivates you with scripture. I've never been I've been to a lot of concerts, stand-up stuff, and I don't think I've ever been as captivated in those settings as I am on Sunday morning. There's a lot of times my wife and kids volunteer second service every other Sunday. If I'm not on lyrics, we'll go to first service, right, as a family. I'll usually hang out and listen to the second one. I'll hear, because he'll tell a little different story in the second one than the first one. I just want to ask, if you have a church and you love them, great, keep going. But if you don't, and you want to come hang out with some awesome people and hear the word the way it's supposed to be spoken and worship like there is no tomorrow, Calvary's the place to be. All the cool kids go there. I'm just saying, if you want to be cool like us, come on down.
Come on down.
Sundays 9, 10:30.
Yep, that sounds right.
If your kids are 6th grade and up, Wednesday.
Great kids, man.
Well, shout out to my man Turner Schwartz.
Absolutely.
He's a gym, and if your kids aren't going to Calvary Youth Culture on Wednesday nights, they're straight missing out. There's a lot of good Wednesday night youth programs, but I'm pretty close to Turner, and I don't let just anybody, have a say in how my kids are raised. But honestly, I mean, he has a hand in my kids' raising. Yeah, he cares about them. He loves them. Mm-hmm. It's amazing to me. A lot of times he'll text me and Ray Ray in a group, just random stuff. It means a lot to me, and it means a lot to Ray Ray because, hey, her youth pastor took time out in his day to send her a sports clip or, picture her worshiping or whatever. You just, come to Calvary.
Yeah, man.
Please.
Absolutely. We'll have Turner on the show probably in after Mother's Day. So
that's going to be a hit.
Yep, he's going to come on and bless the show. It. Yeah.
Yeah. Turner's fire.
Yeah, he is. Yeah. He's a good friend of mine. He's one of the peeps I do life with. We play basketball together. We go to lunch a lot. We talk a lot of ministry and Jesus together. So he's a good dude.
Yes, sir.
So, all right, Corey Clayton, thank you so much again for coming on. And if this is your first time here, I would greatly appreciate you to subscribe to the show. We're really trying to grow the YouTube. Whether you found us on Apple, Spotify, you can subscribe on there as well. And if you would like to support the ministry in any way, you can go to ilikebirdsministry.com and you can support us there financially. Or you can even buy our first book, my first book, 21 Days in Africa, where it's about my mission trip to Africa. My man Corey bought one when he came out to Man's Night, and it was greatly appreciated. And so just thank you so much for being here.
I'll tell you what I'll do. Is this going to be broadcast where people can comment, or how's that going to go down?
Yeah, it'll be on YouTube, so people can comment on YouTube.
So here's what I'm going to do. How many you got here in the office? Books.
I only got one today.
Can you get 50 of them?
I can get 50 of them. Take about a week and a half.
So let's do this. The first 50 people to comment on the show. I don't care if they say, "Hi, Zach." I don't care what they say. I'll buy 50 books from you.
Okay.
And you can send them out to and it ain't even got to be on our show. If it takes 3 shows to get 50 comments, I'm going to buy them a book.
All right.
Let's
go. Comment.
That's all you got. I'll tell you what, let's go subscribe to. We're not going to make it mandatory that you subscribe, but if you're going to take the time to comment on this beautiful show and get a book that's going to be meaningful to you and you're going to get something out of it, subscribe.
Absolutely.
What if they catch me? Hey, what if you have me on again and they loved it, but you didn't put anything out? If they're subscribed, they're going to pop it up right when I come on.
They're going to see, I got to hear another story from Corey.
I got more. If you give me another show, I got more.
You got more.
Zach, thank you, brother.
I appreciate you, man.
Yes, sir.
All right, y'all. See you guys next time. Thank you so much.